That's the right one. Good. All right, we'll start sitting as usual. Wonderful. And then it's all about the shoulders and the upper body today. So if you just roll them back and down a few times. Good. And then maybe just loosening out the neck and starting to introduce some stretch to the shoulders. And then come to a place of stillness, closing eyes and connecting to your breath. Breathing in and out through the nose as slowly as possible. And then drawing the chin down towards the chest. We'll roll our head from one way to the next. You're going to move slowly, keeping the breath flowing, using our out breath to soften and relax. Good, and then head back into the center, blinking eyes open if they're not already, hands clasped. Good, push them away. Reach them up overhead, drop them behind your head, and then push back while squeezing between the shoulders to get the elbows kind of further apart from each other almost. Let's just glance up through our eyebrow line. Then you're going to keep the chest lifted and draw the chin down towards it. Breathe in, rise back up. This time the chest can round and your elbows are coming towards the ribs. Lifting again. Good. This time go as low down as feels comfortable, but keep your head quite close to the body. Inhaling, rising back up. Exhale, release, hands down. Good. Head over towards one side, draw both shoulder blades down the back. Then slowly turn your chin towards that shoulder. And head back towards the center, rolling the chin down through the center and across to the other side. Good. Turning chin towards the shoulder or vice versa, depending on which way you've gone. Head back towards the middle, chin towards chest, and then sitting tall, holding onto your knees or legs. We're going to squeeze between shoulders, lift the heart up, tilt the face up towards the sky. And shoulders to ears, chin to chest, rounding forward and down. Inhaling, rising back up. Exhale. One more time. Lovely. Now incorporate your arms, open them wide, squeeze between shoulders. Good. Arms up and over and chin towards chest. Inhale, rising. Exhale, arms up, rounding forward. One more. Lifting all the way back up. Wonderful. One hand over to the side, reaching up and over. If you're able to, you can come a little lower. Good, and it's all about release around your upper back as well as shoulders. So let's just come straight into our kind of free-flowing movement. Springing back up, we can do the same on the other side. Lovely. And then spring again, rise back up. Good. Just switch the cross of your legs for a moment. We've got a couple more poses to do here. So for our shoulders now, let's just lift our arms all the way up. Stop when it feels too difficult, and then turn the hands and float back down. Good. So for some, this is a real problematic area and you kind of get stuck here and then the arms want to bend together. If you can, keep them straight and you can press them the whole way. Good. And as you go up, try to draw the arms a little way behind you. Maybe you're able to look up towards the hands. Wonderful. Hands behind, squeeze between shoulders, draw them away from you, and maybe start to pull the hands further away from the back. Good. Avoid leaning forward where possible. Stacking head, shoulders, and hips. Lovely. Releasing one arm across your body, just pull it towards you. Deltoid stretch. If you don't feel much, roll the shoulder blade down and then you will feel it. Good. Do the same on the other side. Lovely. And we can release. So we're going to roll onto our knees now. Take them wide apart, big toes touch. You're coming through child's pose, but with a difference. So we're going to just come up onto our fingertips to give ourselves space to try and drop the chest lower to the floor. Every out breath, see if you can sink down a little further. Wonderful. Yes, if you can, keep the arms straight, really rising on fingertips. If it's easier, look ahead and just focus on that downward movement of the chest, stretching into the armpits. Then flatten the hands and just come into your normal child's pose. Let the forehead rest if that's comfortable. 3 breaths here. Lifting your head, looking forwards. You're going to rise up onto your knees, maybe bring them a little closer together, and then walk your elbows further forwards. Press the palms together, dropping the chest towards the floor, hands back towards the head. And you can drop the head too. See if you can lift or tilt your sit bones towards the sky, creating a back bend as well as an upper body stretch. Then pressing into elbows, let's take our hands down instead and just come into our cat-cow. So knees now directly underneath hips, pressing through tops of feet, inhaling, lengthening forwards. And exhaling, rounding as you push away. Continue in time with your breath. Fantastic. From here, tuck under through your toes, push back, and let's come to downward facing. So this is all about the nice stretch for the backs of the legs right now. Give them a little wriggle, shift from side to side, do whatever feels good. Good. Now, if you just bend your knees a little bit, think about encouraging the chest closer towards the thighs. You get that deeper armpit stretch. Lovely. And then you can gradually walk your feet up towards the hands, hands back towards the feet, coming into Uttanasana, forward fold. Lovely. So again, focusing on backs of legs, encouraging a sense of length and ease. And pressing into your feet, rise all the way to stand. Roll your shoulders back and down, hands to the sides. And then lifting head. Good. Turn towards me. So we're going to try a couple of balances, but also they're mainly for the arms. So you can do it two ways. You can either just take one arm behind, use the one on top, and just try to pull it down a little bit while pushing the head back. Or better way would be here. And if you're able to, you can clasp your hands together, but it's not the be all and end all. So you want to make sure that it feels comfortable and sustainable. So we're going to do it for a couple of breaths. If you then spread your toes, whatever you've come into, lift onto the balls of the feet. And you'll notice your ankles do this. You're going to try and keep them together. Good. And then we're coming all the way down into a tiptoe squat, just looking at the floor ahead of you for balance. Wonderful. Keep really trying to draw that top elbow up. And then press, rising all the way back, staying on the balls of the feet as you rise. Good. Lower the heels down. Wonderful. Do the same on the other side. Again, just wherever you can get to. Don't worry about whether they touch or not. It's actually better strength-wise if they don't. We can then lift again onto the balls of the feet and then slowly make our way down. Lovely. Then press, rise back up. Stay on balls of feet, draw ankles together. Lovely, and release. Take your arms behind you now. Squeeze between shoulders is the first step. So that bit's really important. If you stay rounded, your arms won't draw away from the back. So we have to really try and lift here. We're going to lift our hearts, deep breath in. Exhale, bend your knees as you come down. Drop the forehead and let the arms fall up and overhead. Press down into your feet. Rise slowly. Keep the chin down once you get there. Relax your arms. Chin stays down again. And then you can lift your head. Always better to go slowly, especially when it's hot. Okay, so come a little way towards the top end of your mat. Removing dogs. Good, and we'll flow and get into our dolphin now. So let's inhale, arms come up. Exhaling, hinging forwards from hips, bend your knees, allow that softness in, head down. Breathing in, pressing against shins, lengthen forward. Good, hands to the floor, step it back, high plank pose. From here, drop knees, tops of toes. Keep your hips higher, and then lower slowly to the floor. Yeah, wonderful. Squeeze between shoulders, peel up, take your back bend, whatever that is. Wonderful. And then tucking back into downward facing. So just enjoying a few breaths here. Enjoying might be the wrong word, you might not enjoy it. And then tuck one foot behind the other, so you just get more of a deeper stretch on that leg. Lovely. And the same on the other side. And then releasing, both knees come to the floor. Okay, so we're going to prep for our dolphin pose. If you know it already, you're going to come straight into it. So this is where your hands stay shoulder width apart and the elbows come towards the floor. So you end up in this position. What tends to happen, if I demonstrate on a kind of angle, is your hands will draw together, particularly when the shoulders are tight. So as best you can, keep them further apart. So the forearms should be parallel to each other. Tuck under through your toes. We're going to push back, and that's the main movement. Kind of, you're not aiming for this. You really want to get the length around the armpits. If you can then straighten your legs, fine, but don't worry about it. Bent knees, absolutely valid. Yeah, good. And just come into it and see what you can do. Thinking about height and lift around the sit bones. Wonderful. And just kind of explore a deeper bend in the knee, maybe seeing if you can bring the chest back towards the thighs a little. Very nice. Good. And then I would release down because we're going to add some new things into it. So depending on how you feel, you can add these stages in. And if you don't want to do them, that's also fine. If you happen to have a yoga brick nearby, it is easier to hold it this way. So your hand comes into an L shape and the block slides on. The hand would be flat against the floor, not gripping around. But if you've got one, use it. If not, don't worry about it. So we'll just come back into our position. What you're going to do is travel forward. So the shoulders are going to head towards the wrists. Then you're going back. Shoulders to wrists and pushing back. You can do this with a bend in the knee as well. So it's just a strength exercise. And then once you've done, you're going to rest in child's pose. So do 5 to 10, depending on how strong you're feeling. Lovely, yeah, really nice control. This one's a bit mean when it's this hot. Good, so have a rest if you're not already. And then you can just look up while you're resting and I'll show you the next two options. So you can kind of explore these as to whether or not they're going to suit you. So you might just lift onto the balls of the feet and then back down again, up and down. Or you can try walking your feet in. That's only if your legs are straight and your chest is pretty kind of open here. Another option, maybe a three-point dolphin. So you could explore that on each side and really focus on pushing the chest back. Don't worry about how high up your leg is. When you're ready. Yeah, so maybe just first lifting onto balls of feet and then going for the three leg. If you can, when you do the three leg, hold it. So I was just doing it quickly to demonstrate. Good. Lovely. And resting when you're ready. It's quite a intense sequence. Maybe just rolling the shoulders a little bit or anything that feels good to alleviate. And then what we'll do is just repeat all of that, but through a downward dog, which should feel like a breeze in comparison. Okay, so when you're rested and you're ready, come back up into downward facing. Join me here. And we'll start by rising onto balls of feet, then lowering the heels. Trying to keep pushing our chest towards the thighs, lifting the sit bones high. Your next challenge is to walk your feet in while keeping the legs fairly straight, pushing back through a much shorter downward dog, not quite forward fold. Yeah, that's it. Walk the legs back to your kind of correct alignment, and we'll test it now by coming into our plank position. Then pushing back, downward facing. Plank. Downward facing. Plank again. Downward dog. Lovely. And then here you'll lift one leg up nice and high. If you want to, open out with the hip as well, so you get the nicest stretch possible. Keep rooting down with the heel that's on the floor or heading towards the floor. Releasing the leg down. Let's do the same on the other side. Again, maybe opening out with your hip, but trying to keep the shoulders level. Releasing from that one, take the knees wide on the floor, come into child's pose. Maybe bend the elbows to make it more restorative. Just becoming aware of your breathing here, trying to slow it right down. Letting the lungs fill to their usual capacity. Then you can press into your hands and bring your knees together. So if you can't sit on your knees, you can always just sit like this, a little higher. We're going to take our arms behind us again. Squeeze between shoulders, focus on lifting the heart. Maybe you gaze up for a moment. Good, and then you're going to aim for forehead or crown of the head to the floor. Choice is yours. Forehead looks like this. Crown of the head looks like this, coming into the full rabbit variation. And again, the most important part is the squeeze between the shoulder blades. Yeah. Good. Feel like you're lifting the shoulders away from the floor. Wonderful. And then rising back up, coming into your sitting position again. Just do a few rounds of seated cat-cow. So you're going to really draw yourself kind of back, curling in. And slide your hands towards you, lifting the heart. Find that squeeze between shoulder blades. Good. And then coming forward again, curling in. Lifting the chest. Good. Last one, forward. And then if you come to neutral, I would swing your legs around, and let's give our backs and legs a little bit of TLC. So if you remove the flesh from your sit bones, and then depending on how you're feeling, you can go straight legs, or I would maybe just tuck your hands underneath your calves so it forces a gentle bend into the knee. Encourage your heart forwards and then just round a little. Good. Count to 10 here, nice long, slow breath. And every out breath, see if you can creep a little lower towards the legs or a little further forward towards your feet. And then begin to rise back up. And come into whatever seated pose suits you. Good. And a bit of TLC for neck and shoulders. Head to one side. Pull it down on it if you want to make it harder. Draw the opposite arm out away from you. Good. And we've got 4 rotations of the hand as we rise the arm up. And then take it back down. Lovely. Coming across. Doing the same on the other side. Wonderful. Then head back into the center. Chin towards the chest. We'll take our hands together, close our eyes, and just take 5 breaths here to close. Placing thumb knuckles in between the eyebrows, bow the head down, and just fill your heart and your mind with gratitude to yourself for taking this practice today. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done on a hot day as well.